Hello, my name is Chris Woodpan. I'm the owner of Ink & Film Studios, and I am working with HeroTime to make a bunch of videos to help you get your products ready for print. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about simple colors in this episode. Now, if you remember in the past, we talked about how CMYK uses the white of paper and then layers of color on top of that paper to actually get the final color we want. Remember also that that requires light to come through the paper to actually be able to help us show our color, which means if you have a very blended color that's using C, M, Y, and K, that it's going to darken it down more than you expect, especially more than what your monitor is going to show you at home. When we print with these, we tend to have multiple colors. There's also presses that will have even more colors. At HeroTime, we have an 8-color Pantone machine that actually gives us 7 colors plus black, but we can't use that on every single project because it needs to be a large project to make the volume of ink that we're going to use on that worth it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about using simple colors this time. In previous episodes, we talked about having to use CMYK space and everything. If you haven't caught those, please go back and check them out because it is important to understand the difference between the RGB and the CMYK, especially when we're starting to get closer and closer to print, which means we're going to be going into Illustrator or building cards in InDesign. That's when things start to get a little different, and we need to make sure that these details are taken care of. So let's hop into Illustrator so we can just continue our discussion there. We're back with our little butterfly from last time, and you can see over here I have a color panel open. If you don't have this, again, window, color, it's an F6 as well. That'll just bring it up. And then it's going to basically give me all of the options based on the color I have. Yours may look different. Your swatches may look different. That's completely fine. You go up here to the little hamburger menu and you can see show options. We have our grayscale. These are the colors. This isn't changing your color space. This is just changing what swatches you're going to see. So let's do the CMYK. And now you can see here that this kind of gives me this big flowy gradient chart. And then as I just click around, it's going to change my color. If you don't have the show options, let's turn that on. So you can see here, our box is at the bottom. So I can click around in here and I can select, oh, I want a purple. I can go down there and select purple. So remember I said select CMYK. Well, if I select RGB, see my sliders are R, G, and B, red, green, and blue. What you want is CMYK. And this is going to essentially tell you how much ink of each color is going to be in this document. So if I select, let's say, a nice green here, you can see that as I click around, my numbers change. And that's exactly what it should be, right? Like they should be changing because different percentages are going to make different colors. All right, now you can see this red here. Even though it's red, it's got a little bit of cyan in it. You can see that up here because I have 10% of the C. We have 92% magenta, and then we have all the yellow, and then a little bit of black. When I say simple colors, what I mean is one of these needs to be off, whether that's the cyan, the magenta, or the yellow. Okay, if you try to stack too many of those colors, that's when it's going to start hitting that territory where it's going to turn muddy and it's going to start darkening more than you think. So that means we can get very close to being that red, but we also can control exactly that coverage. Okay, so just bear that in mind, especially if you're trying to pick colors to work with. But when it comes to actually doing card layout design, type, and all those things, you want to make sure that you're working within these parameters. So just remember, you want the C, the M, the Y, and the K, and you only want 2 of the C and the M and the Y. So that's cyan, magenta, yellow. We'd like to use 2. Now, a good rule of thumb is to don't exceed 225% of all of those colors together. Because remember, when we talk about the percentages for these, we're talking about each individual is printing 0 to 100%. So if you cranked everything up, that'd be 400%. 2.25 times the amount of ink sitting over top of the paper. So if it stays a little on the lower side, it's going to be much better. So 225 or less is the goal. And as you can see here, we have 92, 192 plus 17. So that's 209, I believe. So we're right there within that parameter. So I hope that really helps you understand a little bit. If you overdo the colors, it's going to wash out. It's going to get muddy. The paper can only provide so much light. These are all the problems we run into. So just bear those in mind, and hopefully you'll get a much better result next time you go to print something. How do you communicate them to all of your different programs to make sure that you stay consistent? Well, we're going to use swatches. So tune in next time when we're going to cover that in detail and how to use potentially libraries if you're in Adobe as well. See you next time.